Going live. Hi, and welcome to the Blogging Bunch Hangout. Sorry we're a little late today, but we have gotten all of our technical issues figured out. I'm Sarah, and I blog at the Blogging Bunch along with a bunch of other places. And my partner Carrie is here with just her picture, but her voice is here.
Technology.
We're having lots of trouble today. And then our guest is Betsy.
Hi, I'm Betsy. I blog at the Dallas Socials, and I also blog at Lip Gloss on High Hills.
She's busy too. We all kind of it's an addictive thing too, you know. Like, how many domain names do you guys own?
Way too many.
I think I own 3. Betsy, you have a ton, don't you?
Yes, I have more than I'd like to talk about. It's an addiction.
Yeah. It is, because you're like, oh, my husband even does it. Hey, could you check? Is this one available? I'm like,
oh yeah, that reminds me of another one. Yeah, that Charles was like, we need to get this one for when we have a restaurant. Okay, whatever. We're not gonna have a restaurant, but I have the domain name.
You never know. You never know.
Okay, and Betsy is here to talk to us today about how we can take on Twitter and how we can really be much more interactive. And I know we tell people at least, like, okay, you know, yes, you need to have a Twitter account. Yes, it's good for connecting with other bloggers and with brands. And we were able to find Betsy today, although Google Plus wouldn't let us find her. We could find her on Twitter today. So today we just want to talk with you about how you get started with Twitter. What are the best, you know, are there any, hey, follow 10 people a day, hey, you know, look for people in your niche? What are the just getting started kind of tips?
When I just got started, I pretty much, for Dallas Socials is what I grew first. I went and found people in Dallas. That was my main thing because that was my target. So I'd go and I would just even search in the little search box Dallas. And I would look and see who was active, who was talking, what were they talking about. And I would follow, a handful of them, not tons, and I would engage in a conversation with them. And I think one of the big things with Twitter is that you could be the first to initiate a conversation. Like, don't wait for someone to tweet you or wait for, anything. Just jump right in. Hey, what are you doing today? Hey, what do you like about Dallas? Or, hey, what do your kids do when, you have this problem, that problem? People love conversation, and that's what Twitter is there for, is to talk. So I think that that's one of the biggest ways to not just get followers, but to get loyal followers and people that are going to keep coming back to you and, stay a long-time follower.
Yeah, the engagement is not just about the numbers, and that's what we've kind of been trying to say across building your list and building your Facebook following and building your Pinterest following. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the engagement and having a loyal super fans.
Right. My favorite things to do are I don't like to go in and follow a whole lot of people, mainly because my Twitter feed will end up getting so cluttered. And especially if you're just following people that aren't people you really want to talk to, then you'll go on Twitter and you're like, why am I even looking at this big mess? It's just things you don't want to, look at, spam, people retweeting things that aren't in your interest or anything. Definitely think you should follow people. That's, one of the top things. But, make sure that it's people that you really want to follow. Another great way to kind of jump in the conversation, if you aren't one just to initiate it, is to get involved in Twitter chats. There's tons that go on daily. Just follow the hashtag and jump in the conversations, answer questions, and don't just answer questions to the host, but whoever's interacting in the Twitter chat, start talking to them too. That's what they're there for. The whole entire chat's not just to talk to the host and get a prize. It's to talk about whatever the main topic is.
And this can be a good way to get followers too, because people that you talk with will usually follow you, or you can engage with them later.
Exactly. I am a big fan of using hashtags. Hashtags are kind of a weird thing to me, but I think on Twitter, 1 or 2 about your topic, if the word's not already in your tweet. So if I'm talking about Dallas, if I'm talking about the Dallas Museum of Art, I'm not going to hashtag Dallas because Dallas is already in that tweet. It's going to show up if someone searches Dallas. But if I'm talking about, I'm going to go to the Perot Museum today, and I could hashtag it Dallas, just because people, might not know the Perot Museum is in Dallas, or Twitter, the search function is not going to find that. That's kind of an easy way to kind of keep relevant, in your blog. If you're talking about kids, you could hashtag kids or parenting or something like that if you aren't already using that word. So it will come up in your search results because Twitter's not that smart yet to kind of get the basis.
So that's really good advice. So if you're tweeting about Dallas, you don't want to like for example, we're at the Pro Museum. If you're going to say we're at the Dallas Pro Museum, you're not going to hashtag Dallas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pro, right?
So if the word's already in there, you don't need to hashtag it. Hashtag is just a good, basis to find things. But if the word's in there and you search Dallas, it's going to pop up.
Ah, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, that's good too. I didn't know that. I'm probably annoying people with my Dallas, hashtag Dallas. Pro Museum.
You can hashtag Dallas if you're saying I'm going to the Dallas Pro Museum, but I mean, there's really, that kind of like just takes that one character down. So you only have 140 characters to say something. So I try to kind of keep it as clean as possible. And
then, so 2, I told people like max 3. Don't like shove a whole bunch of hashtags in there. Like.
Yeah, especially since you don't have a lot of room to say much. Twitter, you really have to be kind of short and precise. You can't, if you have 5 hashtags in there, you kind of lose the whole reason you're tweeting. Because, like, why, I don't want just a bunch of random words. But I would keep it really short, 1 to 2 max.
Okay.
For sure.
Good to know. And what about, like, tagging people? So when I went to, and I don't think people understand this, because I have people do it to me all the time. They'll be like, Play to Learn Sarah, check out my book or something. Well, that doesn't come up in my feed. Like, other people aren't going to see that because when I messaged you, it didn't come up in your main feed. I had to click something else. So I think people aren't understanding, like, when you direct something at somebody, it directs it at them. It doesn't just, like, show up in their feed, kind of like on Facebook.
Yeah, I like to talk to people a lot. So the big thing is when you are on Twitter, I check my notifications. Usually my thing, I usually keep my tab open on notifications because I'm there for a conversation. The feed's great and all, but since, even if I'm targeting all people in Dallas, they're not talking about Dallas. They're talking about their life and everything else. So that's why lists come really handy. If you want to if I want to target specific bloggers in Dallas, I can make a list and add them to that list. So if I want to, I can click over to a list, add people really easily. When I want to look at just bloggers in Dallas, what they're doing today, I click that list and it shows me their Twitter feed. So, if I look at my main Twitter feed, I'm looking at everyone, all 6,000 people that I'm following, and it's a clutter. It really is. Like, sometimes you're like, what am I even looking at? So I really stay off my Twitter feed. I like to go to lists or even follow other people's lists. So if I go to Carrie's list and she has a great parenting, list of bloggers or friends or whatever, I could follow someone else's list and it shows up in my Twitter feed without following each individual person.
And so, let's see. If you're on your profile and you just click on your profile and you scroll down, underneath it, there's one that says lists. And so you can, on the right-hand side, it says create a new list, and then you can just add people to that really easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really simple. And then also, even I think if you're on the person's page, I believe you're able just to click over and say add to list. And you can make as many lists as you want. If I'm going to have a Twitter chat with someone, I'll add all the people in my Twitter chat. I'll also follow them, but also I'll add them to that Twitter or to my list so I can easily see what they're saying throughout the day. Or, it's just an easy way to organize stuff because Twitter moves very fast. And that's what I think scares people is they're like, what in the world is going on? Because people are talking and there's a million conversations going on. So I think that's an easy way to kind of narrow down what you're trying to look at. You don't have to make tons of them, but I think to start out, especially if you're starting out, I wish that when I started that I was better about making lists because now that I'm following so many people, it's kind of hard to go back and put them all on.
Hard to know who to add or you miss people because you forget that, yeah. Exactly. I'm really bad about lists, but whenever I use them, I'm like, God, this is so much easier. I can see what everybody's doing, but then I just am bad about Twitter in general. I've been working on it.
It takes time. You don't have to spend a lot of time on Twitter. I think that 15 minutes a day just to go on. I think you need to go online, and it's great to push your blogs out and to promote, but you really need to go on there and show that you have a voice. Just talk, hey, what are you doing today? It doesn't even have to be to someone, but make it a generic statement so people could talk to you. You need to make it easy for people to feel comfortable, be like, oh, I could talk to them, or they don't feel intimidated just to reply.
And I think it's a great way to make connections also with other bloggers. And I'll go, if I find something that I'm going to share of somebody else's I found on Twitter, I'll find their I'll click on their Twitter button and find their name and like tag them in my post. Hey, look at, you know, this great stuff from so and so. And then when people do it to me, I follow them back. You know, I retweet it and promote it. So I just think it's a great way to, and that's the beginning, you know. And then if I see that that person's done it again, or we start a conversation, it's a great way to make connections with other bloggers, where you don't really have that on Facebook unless you're in a group.
Right. You know, not just with bloggers, I've made tons of brand connections before my Twitter even got really big. You know, even when I had just a couple thousand, brands would reach out because, you know, if I'm eating Lay's potato chips, I'm like, oh my gosh, these Lay's are awesome, and tag Lay's. It's not even me trying to get a brand partnership with them. It's something I truly love. You know, brands notice that stuff. They might not even come back to you right now and be like, oh, we want to work with you. But in the future, they're like, oh, you know what? You have, you know, expressed that you have a genuine interest for our company, or, you know, you really actually love the product. And I've had tons of opportunities come that way. I don't tweet lots of brands, but, you know, when it's something that's natural or something that I really like, it's worked out, you know, in my favor more than once.
Good. Yeah, it's good for brands. Yep, definitely. Got to think about that too. Okay, so we're trying to follow, you know, and make connections and spend maybe another like 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes on Facebook, 15 minutes on Pinterest, 15 minutes on Twitter. But it's definitely, you know, those top three. You really got to be spending time on those top three.
Yes.
And so how do we grow? How, you know, is that just continuing every day to grow it? Do you use just unfollow and unfollow people? Are there any other software kind of add-ons that you use to help you with your account?
I tried just unfollow this past year, and it's not bad, I don't think, at all. But the only thing that I noticed is I get a lot of people, when I start following people, I get a lot of people that, even if it's under the Dallas category, like they just don't fit what I want to see. And so then my Twitter really just becomes spam. Like then it's all about the numbers. You're like, well, I don't really care to grow an extra 100 people today because now my feed is a mess. I don't want to look at these people's stuff. So I think that it could be done right. I haven't spent a lot of time really narrowing down, like when I'm following people on there. It's good for unfollowing people, but at the same time, you know, if I really like them, I don't want to unfollow them because I don't want just people that are following me back. I know a lot of people play the follow-unfollow game, which isn't necessarily bad, but I think from what I've noticed, it just, when I started doing that on Just Unfollow, it just, the people that I was following just wasn't who I wanted to be following. A bunch of random, a lot of spam, because, you know, it was kind of a big mess. There's nothing wrong with using it, but it just kind of seemed a little...
I use it for, also I search out, like, people that are inactive, like, that aren't even on Twitter anymore.
That's a great way.
Like, get those people out and, you know.
That is one of my favorite functions. I completely forgot about that. But I don't like when people are inactive because my numbers get off. But I do think a lot of it is, you know, it's great to have a big following, but at the same time, like, if people aren't interacting, if you aren't interacting with people, then, like, the number doesn't mean anything. You know, if I send a tweet out, you know, I'm right at 50,000 right now. If I send a tweet out and no one likes it or retweets it, I mean, that's kind of like, well, I either need to reevaluate the tweet or, you know, something's not right just because of the number of people I have. So that is something to keep in mind, that, you know, it's great to have a lot of people to follow you, but you want to make sure that they're genuine followers. They're people that like what you're talking about. You want to like what they're talking about.
Do you have what your content strategy? Like, do you post 5 times a day? Do you post 25 times a day? Like, are there certain things? You know, today I saw you posted about the snow. What's happening in Dallas? You know, but how do you choose what you're going to post, and do you schedule those posts? And
so on Twitter, I'm extremely active, maybe a little overboard, but I think there's about 15 posts a day that go out. I usually use, or I do use Buffer. I love Buffer for Twitter, mainly because since I'm online all day long, anytime like a great article comes up, I'm able to send it to my Buffer, and I already have time slots set out. So on Twitter, I have, I think, about 10 to 15 time slots that a tweet goes out throughout the day, and if I buffer it, it just automatically pushes for me. I could write, you know, I could send out the tweet, write out the tweet and then put the link with it, and it tweets it out for me. But throughout the day, I'll go on to twitter.com and actually just talk, so that way it's not just, you know, feed being pushed out. And also, I push a lot of other people's stuff out. I really, you know, I should promote my stuff a lot more, but since I really wanted my Twitter feed to be all about Dallas, not just all about what I'm doing in Dallas, but that's what my whole goal was, is I wanted people to come to Twitter and be like, oh, I wonder what's going on in Dallas today, and they could find it. So I do
Betsy shares a lot of stuff. Like whenever you're out of town, I mean, you share like a ton of other people's stuff, and so you have like an actually helpful Twitter feed.
That was kind of my whole goal is, and so I'll put my own, I'll schedule out my own blog post, but I think that helps too is that people don't want to always see what I'm doing. Like I wish they did, but it's nice to have kind of a overall basis. And I think I go with any blog is like, I'm sure people love what you're doing, but what else in your niche, who else could you promote? Other bloggers love it, why not help them out? Because, there's no reason not to, or to be selfish and just promote your own stuff. Yeah. And I think there's a good the 80-20 rule about 80%, other people, 20% yours is a great kind of way to figure out if you're promoting your stuff enough or promoting other people's to not enough.
So one of the things about Twitter too that I've kind of stopped doing is I know like a lot of bloggers do, retweet threads where they'll retweet everybody else's stuff. So I used to do those a lot more just because it would get more eyes on my stuff. And sometimes you're working for a brand and you want 40 people to retweet your tweet, right? And like sometimes that's important and that's sometimes that's necessary. But I've stopped doing that now for stuff that's not like completely necessary because because then you have to reciprocate, right? I have to tweet 40 tweets and then I'm tweeting sometimes 5 Depends ads. From other bloggers that are working on a Depends campaign in one day, which is not bad. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all to work on a Depends campaign. But, when I'm tweeting that 5 times in a row from different people, that kind of fills up your feed. So I've been trying to be a little more mindful of what I'm putting out there. Because I used to be like, oh, it's Twitter. I don't care. I'll just throw it up there, whatever. But then one day I went to my own Twitter feed, and I was like, oh, my God, this is awful. I wouldn't follow myself.
It's all retweets.
too. Would you follow yourself on Twitter?
Yep.
Right.
That's a good
question.
There's days when I would not follow myself, and I'm sure there will be days like that in the future, but I'm trying to not make it like that.
Yeah, those retweet threads are great if you want your own Twitter feed to be spammed, and I noticed that, it's especially because, I have 2 Twitter accounts, one for each blog, so my lip gloss and high heels one is much more lenient because it's more about me. I could, promote, girly things. I could promote anything, I feel like, because it's really just a lifestyle blog about me. But my Dallas socials, I don't want to ask someone to retweet something on there and then have to retweet, the 40 Depends ads that my market doesn't want to see. And so I'm spamming my own market and potentially losing people because I just wanted a few retweets on another thing. And I think that's, if you're doing it with like 3 or 4 people, that's fine. Or, if you ask like another blogger, can you retweet that? That's fine. But, when you get in those threads, it does kind of get a little crazy with spamming your own followers.
Yeah, so that's something to watch for because that can be bad. I mean, annoying.
You reminded me there was a question that Carrie and I had talked about beforehand. Having multiple accounts, like for each of your blog, or people, okay, well, I started this blog, I've got to start a Pinterest account, a Facebook page, and a Twitter account for each of these things, and I can't keep up with all of that. I basically just do my one, and I have them for some of the other ones, but I can't keep track of them. Is that okay to just have the one main one, or should you really be doing more than one, or
how do you manage all your multiple accounts?
Yeah.
I live online. I am online all the time. I do have separate for everything. When I started my lip gloss and heels, I've had it for a few years, but I just really never put a lot of interest in it. I was getting pitched for a lot of things that couldn't go on the Dallas Socials blog. People are like, oh, can you write about this? Can you write about that? And I'm like, things that I love, but I'm like, I can't do that to, my readers don't want to know about, lip gloss or, stupid stuff like that. So I started my own blog for lip gloss and heels. It was really just my place to write about whatever, write about my wedding, write about this, write about, anything that I wanted. And so after it started growing, I did end up splitting off everything. So I was writing, on my I have 2 Instagram accounts, I have 2 Twitter accounts, I have 2 Pinterest accounts. And it's a lot. It really is, especially because I like to be, I'm always doing stuff. I love to share, and that's obviously natural, but at the same time, you're like, goodness, especially Instagram, you can't switch between accounts. I think Buffer really has saved my life for Twitter.
So you can schedule so from Buffer, you can schedule your multiple Twitter accounts at one time?
Yes, I have, the like pro account because I have like over 20 accounts like for social media. So I have to pay for it, but there is a free version, I believe, just for like I think up to a few accounts. But I have on like Buffer, I'm able to have all your Facebook accounts, all your Twitter accounts, your Google Plus pages, not your personal one. So you could schedule things, and each of them could have their own different time slots. So like if you know on Facebook or if you know on Twitter that these certain times are prime, you could schedule for those certain times. And it has like I use Google Chrome, and there's a little app. So anytime I'm on a page, I could just press the little shortcut, and it automatically schedules it for me. And I'm able to choose a time if I want, or just to put it into my feed.
Well, and we use CoSchedule. Carrie and I use CoSchedule, and so you're able to schedule on your multiple Twitter accounts, multiple Facebook accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's helpful. It's kind of a pain having to like write out your whole tweet in CoSchedule.
I haven't tried it yet.
I'm too lazy to like put other people's information in there.
Oh yeah. That is one thing with Buffer is that if you're not on Twitter, it's hard to know people's, Twitter handles and whatnot. But
yeah.
I like it just since I'm always online, and I like, especially with my, my Dallas social feed, my lip gloss, my nails, I don't tweet nearly as much, but I like to keep it active, and people are expecting that, so I really like that I'm able just to buffer things all day long, especially because a lot of the Dallas news is very, has a time frame on it, unlike lip gloss and nails when it's all evergreen. A lot of the Dallas things, oh, there's an event tonight, so I need to schedule that right now. I can't wait to get on Twitter and to post it, or, so it's kind of it was a good app for what I need.
And do you think it has to do with, because it's city specific, that, right, you can find all those followers, or is it just the time you've put into it, or a mix of both, or what?
I think that it's not city specific. I think it's because I was so stuck on my niche. Like I didn't, like my lip gloss and nails, it's very broad. If you're a woman, you follow it. Like, yeah. That's great because you have a bigger potential of reaching more people. But at the same time, like you aren't after one demographic. Maybe a lot of women will look at it, but not a lot of women will follow it because like, oh, it's okay. But like for Dallas, I feel like it's not just because of the city, but it's because it's so much about Dallas. Like that's just the biggest niche, and so it's easy to follow it because you know what you're going to get. If you follow my lip gloss and my heels, Twitter, it's going to be about women or girl stuff, but you really don't know what you're going to get. It's going to be crafts or do-it-yourself or this or food. It's a big variety of things, and I think that that's really helped my Dallas socials grow is that it's very specific. No one, I'm not going to be tweeting about Orlando today, and I think that's actually harder, to grow that not the demographic, but the location-based, just because I'm only working with Dallas is big, but it's a small market compared to who's on Twitter.
Right, yes.
So, but I really do think that it's
specific, niche specific really kind of helps you know what you need to put out there, and people know what to expect from your account also.
Exactly. And, if you're an expert in a certain topic, even if you talk about more, I'd really try to get, work on that. If you're really great at sewing, for example, really try to find that market because people are going to want to follow you. They want to follow an expert in that topic. Even if you write about other things, but it's a good way to find people that you could relate to. I don't live in Dallas anymore. I live on the suburbs, but when I lived in Dallas, that's when I started it all. So it was easy for me to be everywhere and tweet and find people and just talk. It was very easy. It was a very easy niche for me just because I was living that life. So I think that helped a whole lot. When you love someone or something, you're passionate about it. It really shows, and I think that helps a whole lot.
Yep, yeah, because it's really hard to be so overly focused on something that you're not really interested in, and then that shows also. So
exactly, and I think that's a good good advice for someone who's doesn't know what to talk about or whatever. Like if you could talk about it for hours and be excited about it, or even 30 minutes and 45 minutes and be so excited about it at the end of it still, and you're still talking, that that's something you should probably keep going on, and that's a good topic for you.
Good. Okay, so we need to focus on what we're working on. 1 to 2 hashtags. Promote other people. That whole 80-20. I tell people 1 and 5, which is the same thing. What else did we say they need to do?
You make lists.
Make lists.
Yeah, lists. I think lists are so helpful and important. I'm going to go look at my list right after this, actually.
Yeah, I've been ignoring mine because I get into that, like I can only focus on Twitter, and then I'm overwhelmed, and so I walk away for a few months. And
yeah, it is overwhelming, but I think if you take it slowly, or even just even if you get on like for 15 minutes and say, hey, I'm just gonna go on and find new people to talk to today, and that's all you do instead of, because I feel like we're all ADD when it comes to the internet. Like I get on Twitter, like, I need to tweet this person, I need to find lists, I need to do this. And I think if you have like one goal per day, or even a week, like, hey, this week I'm gonna work only on my list. Still tweet some, but and keep that as in your mind it'll be easier to kind of.
Which is the good social media advice, period. Like when I have Twitter and Pinterest and Facebook and my email open, and my blog post I'm trying to write, it's like bing, 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 going back and forth, back and forth. I hear a notification. I see someone like something on Pinterest. It's just like nonstop. My phone was going off today. I'm like, Sarah, I gotta go find out what's going on my phone. It's Twitter notification. So.
It's bad, but I think, it's one of the best things, just if you could write down your goal for the day even. Hey, today I'm going to make one Twitter list. It doesn't have to be overboard or anything, but hey, I'm going to find, people that love crafts today and put them all on those lists. And you don't have to follow them right away, but you can go back to that list and be like, hey, I really like these people, or start communicating with them and see, who you could talk to, or, who you work with best.
And it's a good way to find other things to tweet or other things, spend your time wisely. If you have this Twitter list and you find, crafts, okay, I'm going to click over and I'm going to pin those and I'm going to promote those on Facebook. Like, spend your time wisely. You don't have to just do Twitter and just do Facebook and just do Pinterest. Put them all together.
Yes. That's very good advice, because it's very hard to keep up with them all, I know, but it's possible. It's all about time management, which is not the easiest.
No. Because you get sucked in. You're like, oh, that was really cool, or I'm in this conversation here, and then
Yeah. Think you have a good blog post idea, and you start writing it, and then Pinterest pops up. It's bad, but.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being patient and working with us to find you. And for sharing all of your great tips for Twitter. We're going to go and make our lists and follow each other. I think we have a list somewhere, Carrie, of our bloggers in our group, or at least the ones that were in our group.
We started one.
Yeah. We'll have to go back.
Somewhere it exists.
There is a list of bloggers, so we will find that list and we will make a thread and say, hey, if you want to join our list of just bloggers in the blogging bunch, we will add you to that one. So,
perfect.
Or can they add themselves? Or do I have to add them? Oh, well.
You have to add them.
No, I think the list owner has to add them, right, Betsy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Whoever starts the list has to add them.
Dang. Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure that one out. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining me. And if you have any other ideas that you want us to do a hangout on, please let us know at the Blogging Bunch. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere. And you can watch other hangouts at thebloggingbench.com/tbb-hangouts. And this was number 32, maybe 33, somewhere up there. So we've been doing this for a while. All right. Thanks so much, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.